I don't know what's happening to me today. This is the second time I started recording because I cannot just put my thoughts in my brain together, for this. So today I wanted to talk about being overwhelmed a little bit. And the older I grow, the more I realize that being overwhelmed doesn't just come from bad stuff in your life. Being overwhelmed can be very well from the good stuff in your life too. And for me to sort of illustrate that, I thought I would talk about the last couple of weeks in my life that were incredibly overwhelming, and I feel like I've discovered a new level of being overwhelmed. They were very intense, very action-packed, I would say. I had to figure out a lot of stuff. I had a trip to Berlin to see my sister, and then as soon as I came back, on this high positive energy, I come back and I find out that I got sued, which, to be honest, I never thought I would say out loud even. I wasn't basically paying for this one really stupid thing here in Czech Republic. It's called radio and television tax. If you want to know more about it, go look it up. But for you to understand how stupid it is, you don't have to own a television, a TV, to pay for it. Like, you're still obliged to pay. If you own at least one screen in your household, you're paying. And it's basically like you're paying for nothing. I don't even watch TV. I don't watch any like Czech media, whatever. But I still have to pay for it. Dumb, right? I was gone for a really long time, so I guess they couldn't contact me. They couldn't find me at my address anymore, and so they decided to take it to court. And they sent this letter to my address saying that, girl, you got sued by Czech television. Great. So I had to figure that out. And like the amount of stress I went through, I'm a big overthinker. I cannot really deal well with the uncertainty. It's not that I crumble, but it just takes a lot of energy out of me, just worrying, and I'm working on it, but it's really exhausting. When you have this like weird situation, weird vibe in the air that's hanging, you cannot really do anything about it. Or, you do your part and then you're just waiting for the other party to react. And it's a very like unpleasant state to be in. And I really struggle with that. So I spent a lot of energy and a lot of my mental, emotional resources on figuring that out. And I was really worried about the money aspect, that they're gonna give me like this huge invoice that I would have to pay for like legal fees, for the amount that I owe them, whatever. But somehow it seems to be getting figured out right now. So thank God, I feel like the worst, I want to knock on wood, I hope the worst is behind me. But that definitely took a toll, like emotionally and mentally, on me for some time. So while figuring that out, I also had to get ready for this gig that I had at Karlovy Film Festival. I made a separate video about it on my channel. If you want to go and hear the whole story, feel free to check it out. Coming from this dark place of like, oh, I'm getting sued, to very like high energy moment when you're getting excited, you get this like not stage fright, but like stage nerves, when you get like nervous before going on stage. And it was a full-on performance, a lot of people showed up. Even though I wasn't really mixing or doing anything that a DJ would normally do, I would just, I was sort of like in the background, cueing the songs, making sure the transitions are smooth, kind of being this backbone of the performance for the artist that I was performing with. So yeah, but still, that was the first ever experience in my life like that. I have been on stage before, but I was never on stage like that as a DJ, which is very new for me because I've been doing DJing for a very short period of time. So that was nerve-wracking, but like in a very good way. And it was a lot of like positive energy, a lot of like positive nerves in a way. So, you have this like emotional roller coaster. And at some point, you get very overwhelmed, not just by bad stuff happening to you, but just the sheer amount of stuff that's happening to you. Extremely bad and extremely good stuff. Combined, I feel like it's a force sometimes that it's really hard to take on or process. And I feel like I've also sort of neglected YouTube for a bit, or like I wasn't paying as much attention to it in the last couple of days, even though, yeah, like it's probably not really visible by my uploads because I keep uploading regularly. But yeah, I definitely shifted my focus from YouTube to whatever was happening. And I feel like I'm still not exactly there. I have another gig coming up on Saturday and I'm getting ready for it. You know, making a playlist, make sure the transitions are smooth, all of that. To come back to the point that I started with, it's so interesting how at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's bad stuff that you're experiencing or if it's extremely good stuff that makes you excited, that makes you very like, you know, that kind of puts you on this high sort of frequency, high energy, I guess. It's also incredibly exhausting to go through that, to process it. Because the healthiest, I guess, way to go about it is when you go through something either traumatic or incredibly exciting, is to take some time to sit back and just, you know, give yourself that space to breathe out and be like, okay, I went through it. To sort of like process it, to let it go through you and to let it go. And then you sort of like, you're back in balance. You're back at the state where you can function regularly. I didn't have a chance to do that in the past 2 weeks. And I feel like a lot of that leftover energy accumulated. And I feel like only now am I starting to sort of let it go. And it's very real. And it's like, it's exhausting, you know, like if you have a lot of things built up, it's gonna obviously take more time to let it go and work through that and like ground yourself. I guess, you know, I'm gonna leave this video on a question out to you people, to you who are watching right now. How do you deal with being overwhelmed? How do you process all these leftover emotions and this leftover energy? Is there a specific way? I mean, we all know that the easiest way to do it is to, I don't know, have a drink, but like something more, something on a healthier side. Let's say, if you have any specific strategies that you implement when you feel overwhelmed, like what do you resort to when you feel overwhelmed? That's what I'd be very curious to find out. Because sometimes I feel like, yes, I mean, having a drink here and there is totally fine. But when you start abusing it, it's never a good thing, right? And you cannot really do it every time you feel overwhelmed. You have to find, at least in my opinion, you have to find like a healthier way to process these feelings and process feeling overwhelmed and process this leftover energy. Can you relate to it being exhausting like that? Just the sheer amount of energy that you spend on, you know, experiencing those states. Can you please give me some tips, people of YouTube? Please write in the comment down below. How do you deal with being overwhelmed? What things do you resort to? What maybe activities or strategies, whatever, do you implement? Because I'm definitely on the lookout for something more stable, for something that, you know, I can resort to, something that I, you know, can have as a tool in my arsenal to basically just pull out every time I feel overwhelmed and use it. And it's kind of funny, you know, when people think that, you know, they associate being overwhelmed with something negative, but a lot of times it's actually the other way around too. Like, it's just about experiencing those extremes, those extreme highs and extreme lows. And at the end of the day, I guess your body or your mind processes things in the same way, because it doesn't register if it's good or bad. It just registers that it's an extreme emotion that you're experiencing, right? So yeah, let me know. Thank you for joining me on my chaotic yaps today. I hope I get back into my groove soon. As soon as I process all of this, you know, I'll be fine. I'm gonna play the set on Saturday, which I'm pretty nervous about too, actually. Have to admit. And then I feel like I'll be more balanced again. So I'll be signing out. I have more yap videos on my channel if you want to check them out. Of course, if you like them, join the high-key community. I actually like how it sounds, a high-key community. You're my high-key people. Okay. All right then. I'll be seeing you very soon, and have a good day. Bye. I don't like the intro to this video. I don't like the outro to this video. I'm not in the right state of mind today. But, you know, It is what it is. I'm here in front of the camera. That's all that matters. And, you know, even though I'm trying to bring my best self, my most authentic, my most balanced self in front of the camera all the time, but sometimes, you know, the human in me sort of comes out. Like the weak human part comes out, and I feel overwhelmed. And yeah, at least you know how I feel. At least I have nothing to hide, you know. If I do feel this way, then I'm just gonna talk about it. There's no hiding it. I'm like a open book. So all right, I'm gonna go. Okay then, bye.